Hi, and welcome to One Thing Thursday. You know, during my adult life, I've witnessed the label of victim become almost a battle flag. So, what I'm going to talk about is probably going to sound quite unfashionable and maybe even unpopular. I hear people describing themselves as I'm a victim of, or of others as they were a victim of. Now, in some cases, it's a perfectly accurate description. If you were robbed on your way home, you're a victim of a mugger. If your house is in the way of a hurricane, yep, victim all the way. But a use of it that has become common is something I deeply disagree with, and which I think robs people of their power. Nowadays, people often describe themselves as victims of things that are no longer happening, but still feel controlled by. If you're a victim of childhood abuse and it still affects your present relationships, it's become normal to describe yourself as a victim of abuse, even if you are now surrounded by kindness and love. We're greatly influenced by the labels we give ourselves. They define our attitudes and drive our actions. Once we accept a label at the level of our identity, I'm a victim of, it suggests it's an unchangeable thing, and over time a concrete facet of your personality that will often cascade into a more general attitude to life. You begin to be a victim about everything that challenges you and look for rescue. It doesn't need to be that way. In moments when you truly have no power over a situation, you can be said to be a victim of what happens to you, but how you respond afterwards, when that is no longer true, is something you have agency over. It's not what happens to us, but what we make of it that will matter most in the shaping of our life. Does it turn you into a victim, or a person who experienced an event and transformed it into something else? Did you find a way to grow from it? Or did it trap you in its shadow? Sometimes it can be hard to see where your power lies, but it will be there waiting to be tapped into. A favourite story of mine is about two brothers who were raised by a drunken, abusive father. One grew into a drunken, abusive father. The other threw himself into helping others and was loved by many, including his children. And when asked how they turned out the way they did, they both had the same answer. Look at my childhood. How else could I have turned out? We can use our past as an excuse to stay stuck in our unhappiness, or as a catalyst to raise us above it. Our culture has become one that frames people as victims of their negative experiences. Be a rebel and spend your life proving that not to be true. You'll have a happier and more productive time. A question I often pose to my clients is, if your experience gave you something that you could use to make the rest of your life great, what would it be? So often they begin to speak of strengths and resources that they previously discounted, hidden as they were beneath the victim label. We're not weak by nature. We're made weak by our poor view of ourselves. For example, in the last 14 months, I've been pretty ill with long COVID. It's been the most debilitating experience of my life, and at times I despaired of ever being better. Then I was vaccinated about a month ago, and a fortnight later, almost overnight, it felt as if my body rebooted, and I felt amazing by comparison ever since. It's left a mark in my psyche. When my heartbeat starts to elevate, I can feel fear begin to kick in and urge me to back off. But I know that fear is a prediction tool. My unconscious is matching that feeling of breathlessness to previous examples over the last year when it's led to what would look like a panic attack, and a few moments when it's crossed my mind that I could be dying. We feed what we focus on. So I know that if I follow my fear's guidance, it will reinforce it, and then I will be its victim, trapped by my past from moving forward. That's how we become victims. My job is to lean into that fear, and re-educate my unconscious into realizing that the old experiences are no longer a relevant reference for my current reality. It'll update and calm the fuck down, and I can get on with my life. I know that I'm going to take some learning from the experience that I'll be grateful for. I will not be its victim, and I will not say I suffered, because our words for ourselves define our existence. So my one thing Thursday for you this month is simply this. Listen carefully to how you describe yourself to yourself, because over time your labels will define you. If you cast yourself as a victim, the whole world becomes your oppressor. Cast yourself as a strong person, in charge of your choices, and responsible for their outcome, and you will be an unstoppable force. Things will block you, thwart you, knock you down, even lock you up, but you will not be a victim of your circumstance. You will rise. It's not easy to be this way, but it is possible, if not popular. If you need help escaping the habit of victimhood, then the slide at the end will guide you to where plenty of help is available. Have a great month.